I think we're seeing a great disconnect between market behavior and what at least my take on the macroeconomic fundamentals. So somebody's wrong, and it might, of course, be me. But nevertheless, what's this saying that markets have forecasted 7 of the last 5 recessions? So I live in hope that I might actually be right. So when we look at the macroeconomic fundamentals, we have the world economy growing at about 3%. That is close to the 30-year average, after all. So there's a problem here. How can we look at 3% world GDP and think that this is somehow recessionary? And at the same time, we have these real wage increases across the major economies, thanks to low inflation, and of course, primarily thanks to low oil. You know, real wages are rising by about 8% in China, 3.5% in the US. 2% perhaps in Germany, 1% in Japan. This is very good. I've never seen a recession that has come in an environment where we have low oil prices and real wage gains.
So how do you get rid of this disconnect? I mean, that really is the question, because if we're seeing the market sell-off continue, then we are more likely to see a recession, even with the wage gains that you've just pointed to.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always the risk of a self-fulfilling crisis, so to speak, which is sort of what we had in 2011 with the euro crisis. You know, the debt levels at that point in time were not in and of themselves unsustainable, but they became unsustainable because of the crisis in confidence. So I don't ignore that fact that if this continues, it could start having an impact on the real economy. But as of yet, we still do not think that this is going to occur, because the support is so significant from the job creation, from the wage gains, and from low inflation in general.
Okay, so should we be concerned? I mean, that really is the question. You're optimistic, but you're saying there is the possibility that we could have a crisis of confidence, which could lead to yet another recession.
Yeah, but I wouldn't like to put the emphasis on that, of course. You know, I think that that's something that we have to admit, that anything can happen. If it gets worse, it's obviously going to get worse. But when we look at the way things are today, it's, again, a unique situation, I think, that we have positive GDP growth rates and low inflation, or even deflation in some cases. Perhaps here we have part of the issue of the disconnect, is that people associate the word deflation with depression, because that's what happened in the 1930s. But today we have exactly the nirvana of macroeconomics, which is low inflation and positive GDP growth rates. This is the environment in which things can evolve in the most positive way possible.